Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are joining us today. As Rochelle mentioned, my name is Karishma Punwani. I'm the Director of Academic Product Management here at Maplesoft. And today I want to introduce you to the Student Success Platform. Now, before I go into the platform and kind of explain how it works, I thought I'd take a few moments to really talk about how the platform came to be. What problem we're looking to help the institution solve. And so we'll do that, and then I'll get into the solution. So in the US, nearly 25% of all first-year undergraduate students drop out of university. And the situation is even more alarming in STEM fields. Now, according to some data out of the US Department of Education, about 50% of students pursuing a bachelor's degree and 70% of students pursuing an associate degree in STEM don't complete their program. Many of the students either switch to a different major or leave higher education altogether, resulting in a significant loss in talent. And in non-STEM fields, the situation is only marginally better, with about 25% of students citing struggles with math as the reason for dropping out. And while dropout rates are problematic for many reasons, I don't have to go into this. I think it's very important for us to acknowledge the financial impact that this has on an institution when a student leaves. The loss of tuition and funding from even a single dropout can really diminish an institution's ability to provide opportunities and services for the entire student body. For example, some publicly information out of the US, in 2023, a four-year institution cited a loss of $4.6 million in tuition revenue when just 7% of its first-year students dropped out. And the loss of revenue per year from those students that were just in science and math alone accounted for more than $500,000 worth of revenue. And I think all of you would agree that that represents a significant shortfall or significant financial shortfall, underscoring the need for us to address the dropout rate issue. Now, while we've seen how dropout rates significantly impact institutions financially, it was really important to us, especially when developing a solution, to ensure that it took into consideration some of the underlying factors that contribute to the statistics that I just showed you. Now, one of the most pressing issues, and the thing I hear time and time again from both instructors and students, is that students don't feel ready when they enter their first year, especially when it comes to math. You also have larger class sizes, and instructors say that students, more so than ever, are coming in with different levels of preparedness. And it's really difficult for an instructor to give personalized information, or I should say personalized help that's needed for each student. On top of that, students are not making use of the supports that institutions are providing. So a lot of institutions have learning centers. Instructors offer office hours. There are TAs, and TAs have their own sessions. But what we're hearing is that the students are not attending the sessions. And again, the research points to different reasons. Students now more than ever are working multiple jobs. Students have families that they're looking after. Whatever the reason is, when students fall behind, they're more likely to drop out, which only adds to that financial strain that I showed you earlier. And so that's why it's really important that we close this readiness gap and that we're able to help institutions have their first-year students succeed. So how does Maplesoft fit into the picture? Our goal, and what I'm going to show you in the next few slides, is really we want to be able to support institutions in helping their first-year students succeed in their math and math-based courses. So the platform that I'm going to show you provides students with the tools they need, not only to first succeed in their first year, but to continue succeeding throughout their academic journey. And our approach is a little bit different. It really meets students when they need it, be it at 2 a.m. when they're studying for their midterm, or they're studying or practicing. The other thing that's unique and that you'll see in the platform is one of the things we really wanted to be mindful about is not adding additional burden to already busy instructors. So this student-centered approach will ultimately help institutions retain their first-year students. So at this point, I'm going to switch in and I want to talk to you a little bit about the platform. So the platform, let me move on to the next slide. So the platform over here, it incorporates all of our technology and some new things, including our services, in terms of content and training, to really help a first-year student, whether they are a STEM student or a non-STEM student, succeed in their math classes. So the Student Success Platform, it features a mobile app that students can use to practice and to study. It allows them to visualize problems, check their work, access steps at any time, whether that's 2 a.m., 5 a.m., whenever they find time to study. It's always available to them. Now, I know the question that many people ask is, well, how is this different from what students are already doing? And we know students are already using a variety of apps, some effective, some not. Some of these students are using them for learning. Some of the students, let's be honest, are using them to cheat. Whatever the case may be, students are using these tools, and the trend shows us that this is not going to change. The real benefit here in our platform is that all the students get access to a reliable app, and instructors, for the first time, get insight into how students are using this app. So this is where it's different. In all the years that I've been working with instructors, especially as the advent of these apps have risen, I often hear statements like, well, I have no clue what students are doing. I know they're using these apps. It's a black box. And so here what we wanted to do is say, let students use the apps. We know they're using them. Let's make sure everybody has access to a quality tool, one that understands math, but let's give instructors insight into how students are using the app. And I think this is a win-win for everybody. So this is the new thing. The question comes, where do these insights come from? And they originate from what we're calling this analysis hub that you see on your screen. Now, the analysis hub, it consists of two pieces. It consists of AI and what I like to call a human in the loop, or a dedicated education platform expert. And these two entities work together to analyze data from the calculator app. Now, this is aggregate data. No personally identifiable information is captured. It's just the aggregate data from how students are doing in the particular class, whether it be an economics class or a calculus class. And it takes this information and it correlates it to information that it's receiving from the LMS system in terms of the syllabus or the course calendar. Because what we want to do, and you'll see this a little bit later, is we want to make sure that any resources that are provided to the student to address gaps are in line with where the student is supposed to be in the syllabus. Now, another piece you'll see over here on the slide is that instructor feedback is optional. What I mentioned before is we don't want to add additional burden to already busy instructors. So if an instructor, doesn't want to be involved in the platform, students still get the help they need. They still have access to the calculator app. The analysis hub is still identifying where students are struggling, and it will, as I'll show you momentarily, provide targeted resources. However, if an instructor is willing or is interested, that analytics, that data is then provided back to the instructor so that they can course correct. They can maybe present something different in a lecture to address some of the concerns that students are having. Now, the part that I love the most is the resources that are offered through the platform. And I say this because the internet is full of resources. The difference here is that these resources that the students are provided are tailored specifically to address the challenges that they have. So if a student is working on a set of practice questions and they're all struggling with one question, the targeted resource that they may receive is specific to that question. Something else here is the form of these targeted resources. They can be things like custom tutorials, visualizations, interactive explorations, review sheets. It's a small set. Again, we don't want to overwhelm students with more things to do, We just want to pick those things where students are struggling and to make sure that they, whenever they have time, again, at 2 in the morning, are able to address those gaps or any challenges they have with the material. Now, all of these resources are delivered through Maple Learn, and along with Maple Learn, the platform includes access to Maple and the calculator, and as I mentioned earlier, all of our content development services, all of our training services. The content piece I find really interesting because, you know, an instructor can say, look, I see through the data that students are struggling with X, Y, Z. Is there some material that I can use inside class to help explain this concept to students? And that they can request this, and our content development team can create something for the instructor. If an instructor wants to participate in the platform, an instructor can review any of the materials that are provided to the students prior to them being given to the students. So there's a lot of flexibility here. I think the most important thing to note is that the platform includes all of our technology, Maple Learn, the Maple calculator, along with all of our services. So I have a demo over here, but just quickly to summarize, you know, what are some of the advantages of the platform? One, and I think this is really important because we keep hearing it, you know, it bridges that readiness gap among students. So students who are struggling, who maybe don't have the foundations they need to succeed in a course, well, they'll have access to both instant feedback through the calculator app, as well as these targeted resources. Not only that, as a result, it'll help institutions protect their tuition revenue through increased student success. It makes more effective and efficient use of TAs. What we're hearing is that, you know, there are less TAs per class. And so we want to make sure that the TAs are being able to focus on the areas that students are struggling with. As I mentioned before, it doesn't require time investment from busy instructors. And this was key because I think if we ask instructors to do one more thing, it'll just be too much. So the platform works without them having to do anything, without them having to even change how they teach their course, what assignments they give to students. Students, they get the help they need when they need it. You know, again, 2 in the morning, 5 in the morning, whenever they have 15 minutes to work, they have help. And ultimately, it'll improve student satisfaction ratings as students will feel supported in the moment. You know, I'm all for the concept of productive struggle, and I think students, math is something you have to work at it, but there's a fine line there between having students struggle and then being able to give them guided help. And you'll see as I show you the demo, what we've been able to do through the platform. Now, at this point, I often get the question, okay, that seems to make sense, Karishma, but can you know, what is it like for a student? What is the student experience? So that's what I'm going to do. For the remainder of this, or at least the next portion, I want you to picture me as a student, you know, let's say taking a fictional college algebra course. Now, let's say I'm taking this course and I am presented with some practice, or it could be, you know, something that I'm working on. Now, that could be questions in a textbook. That could be something that my instructor has given to me as a PDF. I want to show you how I would use the tools in the platform to get help that I needed. Something to note here is that with the platform, it is textbook agnostic. So an instructor can use any textbook that they want to use if they choose to use one. So let's take a look at this, you know, a particular practice sheet, something out of, let's say, college algebra. So let me show you as a student how I might leverage the calculator app to help me as I'm doing this. Because keep in mind, we already know students are doing this. So the first question over here is, you know, solving an equation in a variable, a single variable. So what you see on the right-hand side is the practice sheet, and what you see on the left-hand side is my handwritten work. I'm going to pull up my mobile phone. So hopefully you should be able to see that. So this is my phone. Now, as I'm working on this, and let me move you over here. If I was stuck with this particular question, for instance, let's say I don't know how to solve this. Let me launch the Maple Calculator app. And you can see right here, I can take a picture of this question, and I'll get a visualization. over here, I'll also get the solution and I'll get access to steps. And at 2 in the morning, maybe this is all I need to help me kind of complete my practice, to help me remember what I need to do. I'll give you another example over here. Let's say I'm looking at this same thing. In this case, this example, I've gone ahead and I've actually tried to solve this problem. I can use the calculator to see, did I get the right answer? You'll notice here when I look at the solution, I'll see that, okay, I got the wrong answer. Now I can look at steps. While this is happening, while students are doing their practice using the calculator app, behind the scenes, the analysis hub is looking at aggregate where students are struggling. You know, what percentage of students are clicking on that steps button? What percentage of students, and you'll see this momentarily, are analyzing their work with the check my work feature? How long are students spending on a particular assignment? All of that is happening. And then the analysis hub with, which combines AI and that human in the loop, are going to then put resources onto the portal to help the students kind of overcome any challenges that they're having. So how do students know that they have resources? Well, they'll receive a notification on their phone and it lets them know, okay, you have new content available on the portal page. So let me show you what this portal page looks like. I'm going to minimize my phone and let me show you what this portal page looks like. So this is the portal page on, let's say, day one when students are taking the course. And the students find out that they have access to the Student Success Platform in many different ways. It could be an announcement that an instructor posts for students to see, or it could be something that's in class. Essentially, what students do is they find out that they have access to the platform and they bookmark this web page. Here is where they would get access to the calculator app. So all they have to do is scan a QR code. They don't have to create an account. They don't have to do anything. They scan this QR code, and behind the scenes, they are enrolled into a particular class. Same thing. This is how they, for Maple Learn, how they get access to Maple. This is that platform page. Now, this is the platform page after a student receives that notification. Notice here that resources are being added for the student. Now, one thing to note here is you don't have resources for each and every question. What we do is we're looking at where students are struggling, which questions they're struggling on, and providing targeted resources for those. So let me show you what some of the resources might look like. So over here, you'll see, let me pull it up just to recall. Question 1 over here was solving, these equations. So here are the resources that a student might get. So if it's the last 3 questions that a student is struggling with, they will be presented with help for those last 3 questions. And each one is structured the same way. There will be a hint, there'll be a solution that walks the students through to how to solve this. Now notice with the Student Success Platform, students get access to all of the different tools. So students can maybe go back and say, okay, I'm going to try this problem on my own with the hints. Now they can leverage features such as check my work to let them know where they made a mistake. Let me show you this. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go and pull my phone up onto the screen. So here's my phone. And let's say I was working on this particular problem. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to share here. This is my handwritten work. So this time what I'm going to do is take a picture, and I'm going to take a picture of my entire problem. And as soon as I do this, what happens is this particular piece of handwritten work, I can automatically bring it up into Maple Learn. So here I'm going to go to Maple Learn. And I'm going to click on a new document. So this is just a feature of Maple Learn, but it goes back to that idea of giving students instant feedback on where they might have made a mistake, giving them that guidance at 2 in the morning. So here I can click on this and you'll see, I can go import this straight into Maple Learn. It recognized my work and I click on check my work. So check my work will go ahead and it'll identify the mistake or the line that I made a mistake on. And this gives me the opportunity to look and say, okay, well, where did I make a mistake? Notice here that you say okay in every other place. We're not penalizing a student because the rest of their work checks out. It's just identifying, letting them know that, there is a mistake over here. So they might go and figure out, okay, well, they made this. They changed this. So this should be 27, and let's keep everything the same. You can go ahead, click check my work. And again, it's analyzing the work and it's giving them some feedback, giving them the opportunity to go ahead and correct this mistake. So this is one feature that they can leverage. And now I've shown you this check my work feature in the context of solving an equation, but it works for factoring, for solving evaluating derivatives, evaluating integrals, limits, so on and so forth. So this next question over here, you'll see, just to recall. So maybe they had a question on which function does not have an inverse and why. So maybe in this case, they need a little bit help kind of recalling what is an inverse. And it could be that they would get some material that looks like this. Let me pull up that portal page. So that goes over the horizontal line test over here. Now you'll notice that each question is the same as what they had on that PDF, but they can look at this as much as possible. All of these documents are interactive, so students can really help them not only through the text, but through the visualization, understand the concept a little bit more. It could be that they get something like this that walks them through not just steps, but helps them kind of develop their thinking. So if they had a question on solving X for this particular domain, they might get step-by-steps. So how do you do it? You isolate sine of X. You'll graph sine of X. As much as possible, the content is interactive, so students can move this. They can look at it. It'll walk them through, what the answer is. Over here, they can see their answer along with the actual answer. How do you go ahead and find point A? It talks about looking for the angle that satisfies this equation. So these are all things that could be used. Other types of resources that could be used, maybe like that last example. Maybe the problem is students don't remember the concept of how the unit circle fits into when it comes to trig functions. So maybe they'll get something more interactive. So in this case, it's a document that really explains how you can go from the unit circle to something like the trig function, the graph of the trig function. And they can move the slider, and then they can see this, and they can explore this concept a little bit more in detail. Or for one of the other questions that they had on their document, over here for some practice, maybe it had to do with factoring. And in this case, maybe the issue is that students just kind of have to go back to basics. And so they might receive a practice example, but this case it's scaffolded. So each question is just progressively a little bit more challenging than the next. Again, they have access to all of MapleLearn. They can use it to help them. They can use the check my work functionality. If they're stuck, they're able to start a live session. This allows them to collaborate in real time with another student, with their instructor, with the TA, so they can leverage all of this. It could be things like a technique overview, this could be that maybe, again, they're struggling with factoring. Maybe they need to recall the cross method. So they might look at this each time. It gives them tips on, where to start, how to think about this, because we don't want to just give students the answer. We want to help them develop their thinking skills. So that's just a few types of documents that a student might encounter in the platform. Again, everything is very tailored, very targeted to where they're struggling, to where they are in their class. Now, from an instructor perspective, what does an instructor receive? If the instructor wants to participate in the program, wants data on how the students are doing, that will be provided to them. So as I mentioned before, an instructor can get information on the percentage of students that are using the app for practice, the percentage of students that are accessing material, that are looking at steps, that are checking my work, where are they making mistakes in check my work, giving them insight into how they're approaching solving word problems. So that's something else that they can use both the calculator and MapleLearn to help them do. all of this is information that an instructor would get shortly after, the practice is done, and it's regular conversations. The other thing, as I mentioned as well, at any point, even the instructors, the TAs, everybody has access to all of the different tools in the platform. So an instructor could say, okay, I see that students are having a graph or a gap in understanding trig functions. Can you create something? Is there a document that I can use that I can present to my students? Or an instructor can say, I really like this Maple tutor. I would like my students to use this Maple tutor when it comes to integration. Or somebody wants to create their own interactive content. All the technology is there. For those instructors who are doing research, they have access to Maple, and they can continue to use Maple for their research. So this is the Student Success Platform. I'm really excited because, as I mentioned before, it combines all of the tools that we have developed over the course of 35 years, some new things to really make sure that the students are empowered to succeed in their first year math courses, and then to ultimately help the institution with retention rates.